Welcome to the ultimate guide for jumper's knee. If you have jumper's knee or patellar tendinopathy, then this video is for you. So what exactly is jumper's knee or patellar tendinopathy? So tendinopathy means the degradation of the tendon. So that you have a patella tendon, right? In your knee, it connects your tibia to your kneecap, right? And tendons are elastic, so meaning they stretch and release and they store energy like an elastic band or a rubber band. Right? They store this energy, the potential energy, and then they release it into kinetic energy, right? So we need to understand how tendons work. So they work like that. And once we understand that, we can understand why overuse injuries happen. So they happen because the tendon gets overloaded either too quickly or too soon. So the tendons can handle a lot of stress, but simply put, if you load them too much too soon, it can lead to degradation of the tendon and overall damage to the tendon that we don't want, right? So how do we prevent this? So basically, we have this threshold, right? I have to visualize like a slope, and this is how much our tendons can handle, right? So when we work out, it's like a U, right? So we go up and down. So when we work out, our load is high, and then rest and recovery, it goes back down, up and high. So when the load surpasses the threshold that we have, that's when tendinopathy happens. So we want to make sure we're smart about our training, not overtraining, taking care of our body, like our hips and ankles that contribute to knee pain as well, because we don't want overcompensation on the knee. That's also another thing that happens with jumper's knee, is that your body overcompensates due to biomechanical errors that we may have, such as poor hip alignment or weak ankle dorsiflexion and pronation. And that can lead to more stress on the patellar tendon itself, which can lead to jumper's knee. So how do we fix this? Once you have jumper's knee, the first thing you need to do is just take a couple days off, right? If it's sudden and it's your first time having it, it might just be inflamed and you might have just done too much too soon. So you don't need to overreact and start doing rehab. Just take a few days off and see if it calms down and gets better. That's the first step. But if your patellar tendinopathy is recurring and it continues to come back, then we need to start doing some rehab. So there's 4 main stages of patellar tendinopathy rehab. There's isometrics, isotonics, plyometrics, so storage and release, and then return to play. So if you follow these 4 phases, you'll be back playing your sport in no time. The first stage that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about is called isometric training. Isometric pretty much means you're keeping the muscle tension the same. So if you're doing a squat, for example, right, the lowering portion or the lengthening of the muscle is called the eccentric, right? So when we're going down the squat, it's eccentric. If we hold that position at the bottom, that's an isometric because the muscle tension is staying the same. And then the concentric is the shortening of the muscle, or when we're going back up from the squat. So those are the 3 main important ones we need to understand. But the isometric is great because what happens is it makes the muscle shortens and the tendon lengthens. And when it's lengthened in that position, something called tendon creep happens, where the tendon is able to get rebuilt and restore the collagen synthesis in the tendon. So if we train isometrics properly, we can actually get some healing properties to the tendon. And we do this by loading isometrics really heavy. So my favorite 2 isometrics that you can try are the Spanish squat. So get a band, wrap it around a pole or anything stable, and then get into a squat position while leaning back as far as you can, so you're really loading the tendon and the quads. This is great for getting a good burn in the quads, but also like properly loading the patellar tendon and allowing for proper adaptations to occur. So for optimal growth, you want to do 3 to 5 sets of 45 seconds. And if you're not doing any basketball at all, you can do this 2 to 3 times a day with 6 hours between each session. That's optimal. Or you can do the leg extension isometric, which is probably the best isometric. You have a leg extension machine and you want to do single leg, and you want to go at around a 45 to like 60 degree angle. That's optimal for patellar tendon growth, strain and adaptation. Right, so we want to get to that 45 degree, 60 degree angle, feel the pain. One thing with the isometrics, if you feel above a 3 out of 10 pain, you need to stop and you need to regress. You need to go lighter, or you need to do less intense, right? Because we don't want to go through, we can deal with pain a little bit, but too much pain is bad. So if it's a 3 out of 10 pain, you can push through the pain a little bit, but if it's more than 3 out of 10, then you need to stop and you need to do a regression, right? But 3 sets of 45 seconds, heavy leg extension iso to really get the adaptation to the tendon, right? If it's not heavy, you're not going to get that much adaptation and tendon creep. So you have to make it heavy. But if it hurts more than 3 out of 10, we need to do a regression and build up to that. All right, but that's the first key, isometrics, 3 sets of 45 seconds. If you're not doing anything else, like no basketball or none of your sport, you can do 2 to 3 times a day with 6 hours in between. That's how you do the first phase. The second phase involves isotonics. So these are like movements. So like imagine a squat, you're going up and down, right? Eccentric and a concentric, right? So this is great for loading the tendon and getting more adaptation to the tendon. To be honest, isometrics and isotonics can be switched around in terms of like which one you do first. But I like doing them second just because isometrics they also have the analgesic effect, which pretty much makes your tendons hurt less. And it's a really good warm up as well for your knees to prevent injury and just lowering the pain overall. So I do those as well. So isotonics are important. The main key for isotonics is the eccentric portion. You want to go really slow and really heavy on the eccentric or the lowering portion. Because when you do this, you're getting crazy loads on the tendon, but you want to do the right exercises. So you can do a squat, but if you're doing a squat, a lot of the times the load isn't really on your knee, it's more in your posterior chain, so your glutes and your hamstrings, which doesn't target the tendon, patella tendon as much as I'd like it to. So an alternative is, the best one is probably the split squat. So if you do a split squat, you're loading the tendon, you're directly targeting the patellar tendon, and you gotta load it up really heavy, but you wanna start light and you wanna build up over time. Or you can do a squat, but you can elevate your heels with some wedges, and that loads more of the quad and the patella tendon. So that's another great option. But you wanna go really slow on the eccentric, and then you wanna go up normal speed. And this is really gonna target the tendon and get really good adaptation. So you wanna build the strength. You can do this 3 times a week. So you could do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday squat, and you can do isometrics every single day, right? It's not gonna lead to overuse injuries. You can do it every single day, no matter what. But you want to do this 3 times a week, and you want to make sure you start really light. So the first time you ever do it, you want to go really light, and you want to make sure the pain doesn't go over a 3 out of 10. If it does, we need to regress back to isos until the pain goes away. So the key is after every session, okay, let's say you work on Monday, right? You do split squats, right? Really light, because you got to start up, you got to build up. And then the next day, if you feel no pain, the biggest key is not how much pain you feel during the session. That's also important. No 3 out of 10 or higher, but it's the next day that's important, because then there's no analgesic effect that can cover the pain, right? So if the next day you feel no pain, then you can increase the weight on the next session. So if you do 10 kg Monday, then Wednesday, if you feel no pain the next day on Tuesday, then Wednesday you can increase 15 kg, right? And if you feel no pain the next time, then you increase 20. And you just want to keep building up over and over again. This is really what helped my patellar tendon pain, because the problem was I wasn't doing heavy enough loads, because I wasn't loading the tendon enough to force adaptation. But if you get to really, really high loads, like somewhere to like 100, 140 kg, then you can actually get really good adaptation to the tendon, right? So you want to do these isotonics 3 times a week with a day in between, and you can do like 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, but slow eccentric, right? You want to make sure your lowering portion is slow, so you're really targeting that patellar tendon and getting proper adaptations. So that was that phase, and now we're going to move on to the storage and release phase. Now, a lot of people's patellar tendon training stops here. They think they just do heavy, slow strength, and they can get back into their sport, but that's not the case, because your tendon is like a rubber band, right? It stores and releases energy. So we're not actually using it for its purpose just by doing strength training. So we need to do plyometrics or storage and release work before we can get back into our sport. That's a big missing key. So start with low level plyos, but they should be knee dominant. So it should be a lot of knee bend, not really like pogos, because that's more ankle and Achilles dominant. If you have Achilles tendinopathy, this is similar to similar rehab. If you have Achilles tendinopathy, you want to do isometrics and isotonics, so heavy calf raise, heavy iso calf raise, and then you want to do some pogo jumps and build back up to your sport. For patellar tendinopathy, The main focus on these plyos is proper knee bend, right? So the best option is like looking at squat jump, a split squat, lunge jump, a depth jump. Drop jumps are really good. So start with like an 8-inch box and then drop from it and stick the landing, right? If you feel no pain, then you can jump back up to it. And then every session, you can increase the height until you get more and more comfortable loading the tendon. So once you get up to like the highest box you can get with like landing and absorbing the force, then the next time you want to do single leg. So go back down to 8 inches and then jump and land on one leg, right? This is way more force on the tendon, and we really want to get strong in this position. So do one leg as high as you can, and then once you get that, then you can start doing some jumps. So jumping onto a box 8 inches, and then you want to do 12 inches. You just want to increase the height of the box so you're loading more of the tendon. That's a great progression. You can also do general squat jumps and lunge jumps, just monitoring the pain, making sure you don't go over 3 out of 10, and you want to progress. The key is progression. You start light, so you start like minimum knee bend, like not so high, and then every session, if the pain isn't increasing, then you can increase the depth, range of motion, and you can even add loaded, so you can add some weights to, you can do weighted squat jumps, and this is optimal for getting that patellar tendon back into its functioning, proper functioning, right? So you want to progress these plyos to as the highest level you can until you can get back into your sport. So now that we've progressed our plyometrics to the highest level we can, it is time to return to sport. So we want to gradually return. We don't want to spike our load and get patellar tendinopathy all over again, because that's not what we want. So we have to be smart about our loading. Take it easy, play back. If you're playing a sport, I would say get back into your sport 1 day a week, and then next week you can do 2 days a week, and then 3 days and 4 days until you're back playing your sport every single day. That's what I would do. And just in terms of the work you're doing, try to like take it easy. Don't do anything crazy. Continue with your training, but get back onto your sport. You don't want to do anything crazy, like no contacts for the first maybe 1-2 weeks, and then you just want to get back into it and build up intensity, working on 1-on-1 and then 2-on-2, 3-on-3 for basketball, and then you can go back to 5-on-5. So that's pretty much it for the patellar tendinopathy and jumper's knee guide. If you have any questions, you can comment down in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to answer any questions you may have. But this is the general guideline for fixing jumper's knee. I know it's very hard, and if you're watching this video, you probably have jumper's knee. So I pray for your rehab, I pray for your recovery, and I hope you get better soon. So make sure to follow and subscribe for more content, like and comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.